So you want to become an entrepreneur but don't know how. So I've made over $10 million in my business since 2012, and I don't have any employees and have consistently been doing 7 figures a year. And being an entrepreneur affords you a pretty nice lifestyle. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk through kind of my formula for being an entrepreneur. It's not the only formula, but it's a formula, and it goes like this: ideas, research, talk, test, and start. And I'll be explaining to you the ways you might be able to become an entrepreneur yourself. Let's get it. Dude, becoming an entrepreneur is a great decision. First off, it's not an easy decision. It's not an accepted way of life. I met so much resistance from my family, from my friends, from my coworkers. It was enormous. It was crazy. Nobody understands really what it means to be an entrepreneur. There's no guaranteed path. I want to explain my definition of an entrepreneur for a second. In my mind, an entrepreneur is not a franchisee, okay? Somebody opens up a franchise, possibly, but it's definitely not somebody who's a startup, a company that's looking to raise money in order to make money. An entrepreneur is somebody who runs a cash flow business, a business that makes money, that affords that person to live and pay themselves and pay employees and all that jazz. Now, I can tell you from experience that your life as an entrepreneur is much better because when you have your own life in your own hands, when you are responsible for your own income, you are responsible for your own freedom, and you're also responsible for your own success. And having that, ability is just so awesome. For me, I don't have any employees, and it's amazing. I have, I'm financially doing all right, and also I have, a lot of freedom to focus on whatever I want, or be with who I want to be, or go where I want to be. Now, that's not saying that I don't work very hard. I work extremely hard. And here's how I would start if I was giving advice to somebody else to start and become an entrepreneur. So number one is ideas. You want to get all your ideas out. And ideas meaning, what is an area of business or life that you feel that you can add value in? What is something where you can do something better than whatever is currently on the market, okay? It may be that you can create a better bird feeder. Okay, you have ideas for creating a better bird feeder because you don't like the bird feeders that they sell in Walmart. Or maybe your idea is more of an invention. It's like maybe it's a little robot that cleans up dog fur around your house. A robot that specifically cleans up dog fur around the house that people might want to purchase. Or maybe your invention is whatever. It's a new type of, or maybe your product that you want to sell as an entrepreneur is sort of like a handmade good. It's a unique style of lighting fixture. It's a unique type of, furniture piece for people's houses. Whatever it is that you're selling. So whatever those ideas are, just lay them all out of what sort of areas you believe you could be an entrepreneur in. The next step is research, okay? Go out and look at similar companies to yours that you want to start. Again, if going with the example of if you wanted to sell art, find other artists and see how they're selling their art, see how they're coming across to customers, how are they getting their patrons or their customers, whatever that is. If you're selling a bird feeder, see how, do the research into where you would sell that bird feeder. If you want to sell it into Walmart, do your research into how you actually sell into Walmart. How do you meet somebody from Walmart? How do you get on their radar so that you can have a meeting with them in Bentonville? How do you, perform that meeting? What are they looking for? What sort of cost structure? What sort of margins do they want to make? All of this information you can find on the internet. You can do an unbelievable amount of research on a business before you started on the internet, but you want to understand all of the different sides of the business. Who are the suppliers? Who are the vendors? What sort of costs? What sort of margins are you dealing with? Are you going to be cash flow negative? Are you going to be cash flow positive? What are the terms that your vendors and suppliers get? You can look up a lot of information, okay? There's no reason not to do research. If you skimp out on doing research, you're not taking your business seriously. Research is the most foundational element of any business. Understanding the ins and the outs of the players in an industry is super important. If you want to sell hot dogs in New York, you better know, where do you get the hot dogs? Where do you get the hot dog stand certification? You know, do you have to have food inspections, etc.? There's so many laws and regulations and vendors and suppliers, and you can find this information simply by calling them up or doing research or whatnot. Talk to other company owners in your space. If you're selling art, talk to a few artists. Ask them how they sell their products. And also keep in mind, you know, what I didn't address here is, what is your goal? Okay, if your goal is to make millions of dollars and all of the local handmade goods sellers on Etsy are only making, they're making an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month, that might not be the business for you, or you might need to change your goal. Again, understand everything in context of what your goal is. You got to talk to your customers, okay? Talk to potential customers. If you skimp out on this next important element, you are missing out on a huge deal. If you're going to try to sell a product and you haven't talked to anybody about, you're not an entrepreneur. You're a hobbyist. You're an amateur. You're a passerby. Real entrepreneurs actually survey and talk to their customers. Not survey. I'm sorry. You actually have like verbal conversations with potential customers. If your product idea or if your service idea is not actually going to if it's just something you concocted in your mind but it has no basis in what customers actually want, you're crazy. You're crazy. It's funny because I do some angel investing and I see these startups every day. They're young kids, they're right out of college, and they have some idea. They're going to create the Uber for movers, or Uber for, home movers. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. But I ask them if they've ever talked to any potential customers, if people actually need this. I say, have you talked to people who are actually moving, and ask them why they, didn't consider using an app? It's craziness. Most people starting companies just come up with an idea and they say, oh, there should be Uber for movers. But when asked, like let's say a college kid, they would say, oh, it's too expensive, or they've never done the research with actual people, okay? And all these startups fail, okay? All these startups fail because they never actually talk to the end user who would potentially buy their product. So talk to people. Talk to people. Talk to people. Don't skip this step. If you skip this step, I don't know how to help you. You're crazy. The next step is figure out a test, okay? The test can be very simple. It doesn't need to be anything complex, but you want to do real market testing. So let's say you want to start a consulting business and you want to start giving people advice on, interior design. Give away some consulting for free. Do some interior design for free. Help people out for free. If you have a new recipe for a better hot dog, an organic gluten-free hot dog or whatever you're coming up with, go on the side of the street and just start giving away those hot dogs. Cook hot dogs for people and give them away. See if the market likes it. Do people like your interior design help, or are they just saying you're just like everybody else? Because if you're not creating something that's adding a lot of value to the world, it's going to be an uphill battle. Generally speaking, you want to blow people away with the amount of value you give them, or you want to figure out, what do people find most interesting about your consulting, your hot dogs? Maybe you gave away these hot dogs, but what people really liked the most was your homemade bread buns, okay? Or maybe people, what liked the most about your hot dog was you had some homemade ketchup and that was their favorite aspect of it. So maybe ketchup is your product, or maybe of your interior design consulting, what people liked the most was just helping them get their head straight to figure out just the general style of their house. Whatever the business is, you can test it very easily. Find the easiest way to test it with a minimal amount of money. Again, I put up ads when I'm marketing a product. I put up ads without even having anything for sale, just because I want to see if the market is interested in buying whatever product I have. And this brings me to the last element of being an entrepreneur. To become an entrepreneur is just to start, okay? Just to start. Start selling. If you've Pose some ideas. If you've done your research and found the business is viable and other people are making the amount of money you want to make, you have an idea of all the vendors and suppliers, you've talked to people, you've talked to maybe company owners as well as potential customers and asked them if this is a real need for them. And you've also tested it. Again, testing is the most important part because people lie. You can talk to 10 close friends and ask them about your business, but they'll say, oh, it sounds great. But when it actually comes to buying or using your services, nobody might. But the last element is if your business fits all of those different 4 things, is just get started. Just get started and don't turn back for at least 3 to 6 months. Don't look behind you. Don't doubt yourself. Don't lack self-confidence. Don't second guess yourself. Don't second guess yourself because your husband is second guessing you. Don't second guess yourself because your wife is second guessing you. Don't second guess yourself because your parents or your family or your friends or your coworkers are second guessing you. Just get started and don't look back and figure out a way to make this business work. Because if it fits all those criteria, you have something very valuable in your hands. You have something that can offer the world a lot of value, and you deserve to give it to them. If you got some information from this video, make sure to give it a big fat like. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like more information. I do a lot of videos on affiliate marketing and making money online. I've made millions of dollars online as an entrepreneur myself, and I teach others how they can do the same, and doing it with 0 employees. I don't have anybody who works for me, and I live a pretty nice life. So next thing is leave a message in the comments. If what particular subject here helped you out the most? Was it figuring out the ideas, doing the research, talking to the customers, testing the product, or just getting started? Let me know what made the most sense to you and what resonated the most with you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope some of you go out and start your own businesses. This is the way to become wealthy and fulfill your dreams. And just by being on this video, I acknowledge you and appreciate you for being an amazing human being. Go forth and prosper.